Good morning, everyone. My name is Lytle. I'll be hosting Mortgage Coaches Training Thursday. And thank you for being on the call today. So the way we're going to start, we're going to do some poll questions, and I'll outline our topic for today's call, and we'll start the process. So Marcy, let's go ahead and launch our polls. So first one, have you downloaded our mobile app? This includes Rate Watch as well as our Mortgage Coach app. So go ahead and respond to this and let us know. All right, we've got quite a few people who've already downloaded it. Great, we're going to be using that. So if you have your mobile device handy, go ahead and make sure you have it next to you. We're going to place a link in there and I'll talk you through that process. So, and if you haven't downloaded the app, we'll go ahead and walk you through that process. We only have 42% of the vote, so if you could please go ahead and answer that poll, that'd be great, so we could go ahead and close it out. We need to get to 75%. So if everyone could go ahead and answer the poll. Okay, Marcy, let's go ahead and close out this poll. We will be showing you, we're about half and half with the mobile app, so we'll go ahead and show you how to download that real quick. It's not that difficult. So Marcy, our next poll. So what we're going to focus on is our short term. We're really going to focus on the report today. So are you having difficulties explaining that short term and the long term area? So please go ahead and respond to that poll so we know where to focus on. Oh, great. Yeah, a lot of people do have difficulty. Not a problem. We're going to walk through that very slowly on the report so you can understand. And really, if you have questions, this is the time, and I'll tell you how you'll be able to do that shortly. So if we go ahead and finish up the response to that poll. Okay, Marcy, if we could go ahead and close that one out, and then we'll start our next poll. We only have 2 more polls, everyone. So go ahead and launch the next one. And this really helps me focus on our training. The other topic we're going to talk about is the reinvestment. Are you utilizing the reinvestment strategy we have in EDGE? We'll be able to show the borrower how to pay down principal faster, as well as putting additional money into an investment account. So good, we have 67% haven't used it, 33, great for you. We're going to go ahead and I'll show you how that process works, and then again relate it to the report so you can understand it. Okay, Marcy, let's go ahead and close this one out and then launch our last poll. Are you using the tax benefit feature? That's another thing we're going to cover today. So I'm curious how many people are using that tax benefit. And if you could go ahead and answer that question, that'd be great. Okay, quite a few of you are not using it. What we're going to do is focus on that tax benefit on the total cost analysis. It also is used on the rent versus own report, but we're really focused today on that. So let's go ahead, finish up our polling. We're almost there. Okay, so the majority does not use the benefit. Okay, perfect. You're here, and we're going to be showing you how to use that. So if you could go ahead and close that poll, Marcy, I appreciate it. And thank you very much, Marcy, for helping me out. Okay, so today what we're going to focus on is reading the report. So a lot of you, let's raise your hands. I should have had this poll. Are you using EDGE for every report? So if you are, raise your hand so I can get an idea. I don't see any hands raised. What else are you using? If you're using just an email format to contact your borrower, can you raise your hand? Give me an idea on that. Okay. Got a couple people with that. What about Excel? Do you provide an Excel form to your borrower discussing the different loan options? Okay, got a couple Excel. Okay, yeah, quite a few. Okay, that'd be great. Gives me an idea of how you're sending out these reports. Because the biggest understanding EDGE, it's really quick to actually create a report. It's understanding, and then once you understand it, it would be really simple to be able to deliver that information to the borrower. So that's what we'll focus on today is the short-term area, really understand that area, as well as the long-term. And then once we're going through the report itself, Then we're going to go in and I'll show you how to use that reinvestment strategy, how to show a tax benefit, describe it on the report, and how it also reflects in the short-term area. And then we'll also talk about the property appreciation, because that's another question that's been coming through our support desk recently, how we get that number and how it applies to the report. So we'll cover all those features today, and what I would like you to do if you're new to the call, open up the question area and go to meeting, and with that we'll go ahead and answer, or type in any questions, and I'll respond to those as we go through the call. And let's just get with it. So I'm going to turn off the camera. And the reason why I have it on it, I wanted to point out it's always valuable to have a video on your EDGE report. So always remember that. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So you have, looking at the report, what you're familiar with and the data that you're providing the borrower is pretty much in the upper left-hand corner, the summary section, as well as that monthly payment section. Those are familiar topics that you provide to your borrowers currently. What I do want to do is provide the link to this report for you to be able to follow along if you have a mobile device. So this is a quick way to get the link. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, there's a share feature, a share button. If you click on that, it provides you that link. So I'm copying that link and I'm opening up my chat box. I'm pasting the link in there, so if you want to open up that link and follow along with me on the report, Experience EDGE Live, that'd be great. Another way is to use that mobile device to be able to provide that information. So let me go ahead and I'm going to open up my reflector here so you'll be able to follow along. We'll download the app if you have not, and we'll walk through that process and then start working with the report. So I have my iPad reflecting on the screen, so let me go ahead and first thing you want to do if you haven't downloaded Mortgage Coach, go to your App Store. Play Store if you're on an Android device, just go ahead and click on your App Store, and in the search engine just search for Mortgage Coach. Oh, whoops, I'm using the wrong screen there. So Mortgage Coach. And with that it will provide you both our apps. So you'll have your Rate Watch app to download as well as our Mortgage Coach viewer. So you have both of these that you can go ahead and download and be able to view your report. So for now, if you have not downloaded a mobile app, do it with the Mortgage Coach viewer because that's what we're going to use currently. So let me close this out and let me go to the Mortgage Coach app. You can see it's right here. Below is my Rate Watch app. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And any of you who have your mobile device up, follow along and I'll show you how to put in the link to the report in your mobile device. Oops. Normally what you would do is actually click on the link, but in this case I'm not sending an email to myself, so I want to be able to manually key it in. So with that, all you have to do is on the mobile device, you'll see I already have a link in there. I'm just replacing this number sequence right at the end. And if you don't have this front part, don't worry. All you need to do is key in this number here. So the number we're going to key in is 16R88 lowercase z. So if you all go ahead and do click on that, and then you can see it will open up our mobile app for this exact report. Go ahead and do that. So if you have that, let's go ahead and click on it and you'll be set. So now with, let's go in, you should have the mobile device already downloaded and you can view the report. One thing I want to point out is the lower left-hand corner, I show 5 viewers. So that's letting me know if who on this call is actually viewing the report with me through either the desktop or the mobile. See, it's jumping up. I point this out because this will help you know if your borrower is following along or a partner, a real estate agent or whatnot. When you're talking to them, you can see if they have that report open. So I wanted to point that out. It's good to help tip. So now let's just start up in the upper section. This is the area you're familiar with. This is the information you usually provide to the borrower. It's just the summary of their details. You have your loan amount, and you can see in this particular case, the loan scenarios I'm showing are different types of mortgage insurance. I do have a single premium product, and with that, you'll notice the loan amount's the same. I did not add that subsidy to the loan amount just to keep it even for now. You'll see the difference in the interest rates, and you'll notice I'm highlighting the fields. If you're on the report, viewing it on the desktop or the mobile, you'll notice I'm driving the report for you. I'm highlighting the loan amount, I'm highlighting the interest rate. And this is how you'd be able to communicate with your borrower through the report, is having them on the phone. You both have the report, and you can drive that report through the highlighting and discuss all the different options. You can also talk about the cash to close. And what is that comprised of? All the details for this cash to close is in that More Info button. So if we click on the More Info button, we have a lot of details here. You have your payment breakdown, sort of like that payment letter you have in your documents. You have the P&I payment, the property monthly taxes, hazard insurance, and mortgage insurance. So if you impound or escrow, this is where those items will show in your full pity payment. You'll notice on the mortgage insurance, I highlighted the two other products because there's no monthly cost for MI. So when I'm delivering this report, I would definitely want to point that out before I send the report to them and highlight those fields so they can easily see the other two products do not have mortgage insurance. So now let's go to the closing costs. So this is when you send the fee cost sheet out to the borrower. Instead, you have it all contained here in the report. What I'm finding out when I'm hearing when I talk to different loan officers is when they are using a fee worksheet or an Excel, if there's a change to any of the products, they then have to go back in, reproduce the numbers, reprint the forms if needed, and send it back to the borrower. With Edge Live, you won't have that process. Anytime you need to make an update, you make it in Edge, it makes it live on the report, and they'll be able to view it. So with that, you can be able to provide that down payment. That's part of that cash to close. And then you have your fees. What we do is we lump sum all the APR, non-APR, if you had points or rebate, upfront MI. You can see it over there for the single premium. Your prepaids or escrows, and if you have any contributions. And then you have the fee details. It will list all the fee details. It does list it in alphabetical order. This is going to be a new requirement for the August 2015 updates, those changes. So we already have that in place, and it's easy for the borrower to be able to find a fee now that it's in alpha order. So that's the reason behind the CFPB and why they want to have it in the alpha format. I know a lot of, with another question in the, that comes through support is they want it to match exactly how their fee screen is because it's a flow the loan officer is familiar with. So just wanted to explain the reasoning why, and all the forms internally that you have will also become alpha order. So the reinvestment strategy screen, we'll cover this a little bit more, show you how you'll be able to show that applying principle, and then again reading that report once we add that information. So it's really easy. Now we're going to move over to our monthly payment savings. It's really easy to be able to see, show the borrower how much they're saving in that monthly payment. So you have no graph on the highest payment, which is our monthly MI. And you can see, let me clear out all my highlights, and to do that, you'll notice in the bottom center there's a clear all button. Once I press it, it will go ahead and clear out my highlights. So now let's look at that monthly payment. And you'll see the highest payment is the monthly MI, my first product. And then you'll see on the lender paid MI, I'm saving $85 over that monthly MI. But on that single premium, I'm saving $228. So that's quite a bit of a savings. So with that, a lot of times, it's easy just to see the monthly payment. It's a quick, easy item to be able to show your borrower how much they're saving on that monthly payment. But a lot of times what they don't see is the long-term and short-term effects. And that's what we show in our lower left and right quadrants. So now let's cover the short-term savings, the savings over 60 months. So with the savings over 60 months, just like in the monthly payment savings, there's no graph over the monthly MI. Again, that's the highest cost loan. And so let's discuss a little more. We have it savings over 60 months. And what is that savings? It's not so much savings of the monthly payment. It's not taking 228, multiplying it by 60, and getting a result. What this actually is the savings of the unrecoverable costs. This is the cost of the loan on the back end that they really don't see. You can compare it with your APR, but a lot of times it's just easier to go into the more info, and let me walk you through how this is broken down. So first off, in our monthly savings, we do have it at 60 months. And if you're familiar with the new loan estimate form that is coming out in August, there is a section on there that discusses the effects of that 5-year period. We will be having another training that will go over and do the comparison, so to start getting you familiar with how EDGE really coincides with that form, and we'll be able to help you with it. So now with the savings over 60 months, what we do is we calculate the interest and mortgage insurance if applicable, and we provide that total. So over the 60-month period, the borrower has paid on the monthly MI $82,196 of interest and mortgage insurance. With the lender paid MI, there's no monthly mortgage insurance, but the interest rate is quite a bit higher. And you can see that is at $80,000. So now you have your single premium. I have the same interest rate as my the first product, monthly MI, but there's no monthly insurance because I have that subsidy. So take a look, and you can see compared to the first product, same rate, same loan amount, but you can see without having mortgage insurance, it's almost about $10,000 they save. So that's what this section is the interest and mortgage insurance the borrower is not getting back. It's an unrecoverable cost, and this is how much it is over that 5 years. Then the next thing we do is we total the closing points and costs and provide that figure on the next line. Again, money the borrower is not receiving back. At this point in time, we then total it, and that's the total cost of the loan. This is how much it's charging the borrower over 5 years to have that loan. So the interest they're not getting back, neither those closing costs. Then once we do a comparison, we then can show them which product has the highest savings, which is that single premium. And I want to take a look at this a little bit more because my closing cost should be a little higher with that single premium, so I have a feeling I didn't add that, so we'll go back and take a look at that in a moment. And again, that experience shows you EDGE Live as well. So with that, I also want to point out, you could show at that same time that the principal that they have paid, the amount of principal that they have built up, is right in this line area. So for the first 5 years, this is how much they've been paid and applied to principal. Does anyone have any questions on this screen? I could go into it and break it down a little bit further. But again, we're going to talk about it and go back into it because I'm also going to be showing how the tax benefit affects the short-term area as well. So we're going to come back in and explain this a little more. But this is truly showing you the cost of the loan. It's showing the comparisons of all your unrecoverable costs here. So now the long-term area, the interest and MI for the 15 years. So to let you know that 60 as well as the 15, those are variables in the system. And you can move those or change those depending on how the borrower, when you talk to them, what are their goals. So I'll show you also how you'll be able to use that and make changes here. Again, driving the report when you're talking to the borrower. So now the interest in MI paid over the 15-year period, you can see how much on the first product they've paid over $201,000. And then on the second product, the lender paid MI with a higher interest rate. Actually, they're paying out more money in interest, and there's no MI. This is just straight interest. And then you can see with the third product that is no monthly MI, and it's that shorter 4.5% interest rate. So you can see how much more of a savings it is on that single premium. So now what I want to do is let's go into Edge a little bit, and first let's check out my single premium, make sure I entered that correctly, and then we're going to start working talking about the property appreciation, how that's comprised, and where that displays on the report. So first off, let's go into Edge, and let's check out my single premium product. When you're in Edge, if you hover your mouse over products, you'll see that I have my 3 products and they are jumped out above. This is a quick way of moving throughout Edge. So I'm hovering over products and I'm selecting my single premium. It takes me directly to that first screen of my single premium product. So I have it marked upfront premium. I did indicate it was single. And then I have my lower interest rate. Okay, I do have my single premium amount here, and that single premium amount isn't actually in my closing costs, I just remembered. It is totaled and added in the interest and MI field because it is mortgage insurance. So that's the reason, but I have 1%. I didn't have it added to the loan amount just so we could keep the loan amounts even just for our talking points today. But want to point out you can add that single premium to the loan amount. And also with the single premium product, I excluded any mortgage insurance. So wanted to point that out as well. Okay, so now let's talk about first the property appreciation. So if I go to my report, the property appreciation, if we go into our long-term area, the interest in MI paid, that more info button, this provides a lot of information as well for you and your borrower. So first off, besides that total interest in MI, you have that total running, we provide that home value. That home value is the property appreciation of the home. You can show appreciation or you can leave it set at 0. So I'll show you how this number works, how it applies to the report. So first off, let me go ahead and close this out. I want to go back into Edge. And our property appreciation field is in our analysis screen. So I'm clicking on analysis. And the very first field here you see is property appreciation rate. If you're doing manual data entry through Edge, this should default for you as 3. But you could change it depending on your area. So first off, I'm going to change it to 0 just to show you how the report reflects at a 0 property appreciation rate. So with that, I'm advancing my screen because when you advance the screen, that is when any changes you make are saved and your report will be updated. So I made it to 0, advance my screen. Now if I go back to my report, it's going to go ahead and make an update. If I click on the more info in my monthly payment savings, at the very bottom here, right below the monthly payment, you see property appreciation at 0. This is showing me the percentage that I'm using, and you'll notice my tax benefit is 0. We're going to come and work with tax benefit later. I close out of my monthly cost. Now let's check out our long-term area. Our long-term area now has the home value just as my sales price, my appraised value. So you have that here, and so this is if you show 0 appreciation. That's the home value. But what you can, if your area, I'm going back to Edge now. I'm moving back a screen just to get to my analysis screen. But say your area has a property appreciation rate of 2%. You could go ahead and place 2% in here. Again, advance your screen to make that save and make that change. So if I click on my more info, you can see the 2% property appreciation has been updated. And now if I close out of that screen and I move to my long-term, you'll now see that the home value has increased. So we take that percentage, and after each year, we go ahead and apply that property value. And then it's accrued, and that's how we get that number. So a lot of people have that question. If you don't want to show the property appreciation, and now you just go to analysis screen and clear it out and make it a 0. So now let's talk about the tax benefit. So in the tax benefit, when we add a tax benefit, the screen here is going to change slightly, adding one more line item, and we'll be able to provide that tax benefit and show them. So now if I go back to Edge, my tax benefit is in my affordability screen. So again, I'm hovering over affordability, and I have two items, two screens to go ahead and choose from. I'm going to go ahead and select Can Afford. You'll notice at the base of the screen we have a tax bracket percentage. So you can go ahead, if you know the borrower's tax bracket, you can enter it here. But if you don't know what that tax bracket, there's a button off to the side here. It says Find Tax Bracket. And what it will do is take you to another web page and provide you information that you can go ahead and find their tax bracket. So here's my tax year. Say my filing status, married filing jointly. And you'll be able to see based on their income what percentage they'll be in. So if I had a $95,000, I would fall in that 25% area. So let's go back to Edge, and I'm going to change that now from 28 to 25. And again, this is an estimate that you're providing the borrower, but it gives them an idea, especially those first-time home buyers. It gives them an idea of that tax advantage, because if they've never received it, they don't quite understand how it will help them. Excuse me, I had to turn on the air conditioning, get a little warm. So now let's go ahead and see how that's going to reflect on the report. So remember, anytime you make a change, advance the screen left or right, or just, you can even go move to a different screen. It just has to move to a different screen for your save. And now take a look, and I just had a tax benefit line added. So although those who are following along on the Edge report, again, in the chat box is the link to the report. You can click on it and follow along and experience the Edge live. So now we have a tax benefit here. It's the percentage. We do the calculation behind the scenes. If you want more information on that number, you can email us support. So we provide that monthly tax benefit. So with that monthly tax benefit, if I click on more info in our short-term area, how does that affect? Because the tax benefit, it is a benefit to us. So click on the more info, and now you'll see we have an additional line here as well. In the tax benefit line, because it's a benefit, it's not unrecoverable costs. What we do in this case is we take the interest and MI, if applicable, on the loan, and then we subtract out that tax benefit, because this is a cost, but this is the benefit, the gain over that 5-year period. And again, it's a potential, there could be more write-offs. We're just focusing here on the interest and the home here. So once we've taken that amount, subtracted out that tax benefit, now we have our closing costs again. So we've got to add that figure back in. So we add it back in, and you'll see how now the total cost of having that loan has dropped because you showed them that tax benefit. So that's how, just want to point out the tax benefit and where it applies on the report. So it's not only down in this area. I believe if you click on the more info, nope, it's just in that area down here. And how do you know what tax rate that you provide the borrower? You can, again, find that in the more info button in the monthly payment area, and you'll see right below the monthly payment numbers, the tax bracket percentage. So they'll be able to see what that tax benefit and what percentage you use to calculate that figure. Okay. So now we have our tax benefit, and we discussed our long-term and short-term. So now what I want to do before we work on the reinvestment strategy, I want to show Edge Live. I'm going to work it side by side, but I want to show you the short-term and the long-term and how you can hold that conversation with the borrower. So what I want to do is grab my link again. I press that share button in the lower right-hand corner. Grab my link, and now I'm going to open a new tab and paste that link into my tab. Just as you had clicked on the link and viewing it on your desktop or mobile, and the borrower would be doing the exact same thing, this is what you would experience. The borrower would click, I understand, and now it dives into the report itself. Let me go ahead and place these reports side by side. And then you can watch how Edge Live, as well as modifying data. Once you start talking to the borrower, how can you update that report that reflects their lifestyles? So with that, you can see on the left-hand side on my report, I have a Clear All button. On the right-hand side, there's no Clear All button. The right-hand side is the borrower's report. The left-hand side is your report that you can drive for the consumer. So first off, I'm pressing Clear All, and Clear All clears out my highlights. Not only did it clear it out on my copy, I just cleared out the highlights for my borrower as well. So now what we want to do, you've been talking on the phone with the borrower, you found out, they have some small kids, they plan to move maybe in 7 years. So instead of showing 60, show 84 months, because that is their goal, is possibly moving at that time. So show them the savings of those unrecoverable costs for that period. So now what I'm going to do is go to Edge, and I'm going to my analysis screen. Let me open it up. And you can see right below that property appreciation is my short-term analysis months. I just found out that they want to see, 84 months, and maybe they want to see the long-term analysis of that interest just because they want to see it. So I'm going to place that at 30. Once I advance the screen, let's go ahead and bring this back. Once I advance the screen, that's what makes my save. So now you'll notice that the short term has changed to 84 months and the long term is 30 years. So it's on my copy as well as the borrower's, and for all those 9 viewers who are viewing the report, you should have seen that change as well. So now you can actually discuss with them over 84 months which is the better product. So the mortgage insurance does drop. Let's take a look at the payment stream on our monthly MI. And let's see when that mortgage insurance drops. So it drops after the 86th month. So let's put our short term. We have it 84, so at this point our monthly first product is still paying MI. Let's reflect 120 months and see the difference between the first and the second product. The lender paid, which is a higher interest rate, no MI, monthly MI, versus monthly MI with a lower interest rate. So now let's go into Edge, again back to the analysis screen, and let's change the 84 to reflect 120 months. You have a quick preview of the short term right below, but let's take a look at our report and be able to see it that way. So once we have 84 months, it's going to go ahead and change. My clients changed first. There we go. So now let's dive into it. Look at the numbers are changing quite a bit. So click on the more info. Whoops, let's go ahead and clear out my highlights first. Okay, there we go. And you can see how the interest on the monthly MI and the lender paid MI, it's changing. So you can see how the monthly mortgage insurance now is driving lower. So you have your costs here, and then you can always increase and decrease. If you're doing refinances and want to know where the break-even point is, because again, this is the unrecoverable cost, you can drop this down to reflect a lower number of months. So let's go back and discuss that just a tad. So if I was doing a refinance, I might want to put in 12 months and see where I'm at on that 12th month period. So you can see actually because of the cost of that fee, the single premium, That actually is the highest cost loan. So then once you keep 13, let's go 24 months. So between the first and the second year, now the single premium hedges out over that monthly MI. So even with you understanding Edge, come in here and hold that conversation. If you're doing a refinance, find out where that break-even point is. You can play with the numbers and you can see it rather quickly within the screen here. So let's put this back at, let's put it at 180 and just see where we're at a 180 mark. Bring our report back side by side. And it's going to go ahead and it just bumped. So if they were staying in that home, you know, with the lower rates, I know I have a little bit high rates right now, but you can see it's now that lender paid mortgage insurance, that high interest rate, it's no longer the better benefit. You have two products that have a lower interest rate and no MI at this point in time. So that's how not only can you educate the borrowers, you can visually show them, versus having a fee worksheet or an Excel sheet. You would have to keep sending these over. But with Edge Live, you're making the connection to them and making the changes while you're driving the report. So there's no need to resubmit anything to the borrower. You're just talking to them on the phone and using Edge Live. So that's the feature that you really need to understand and start working with. A great way of working with Edge Live is how I'm doing it here, but most people have two screens, so it's easy to put it on one screen and the borrower's copy and yours on another and drive it and see. But the best thing is finding a coworker in the office, a family, friend, spouse, give them the link and talk through the report with them. Once you've done it a couple times, it's really easy, and it's a great way to drive that information, drive your knowledge, and provide it to your borrower. So using Edge Live will help you with that. Now, once we're moving from that short-term, long-term, how we're discussing how their goals are, we've also added that tax benefit and property appreciation rate. Now what I want to do is focus on reinvestment. So with the reinvestment strategy screen, it's a great way of showing even payments, because you have each of these products. Yeah, you do have a comparison. Okay. You have your different payments, and you do have a comparison. So let's make all those payments even. So let's go back into Edge, and let's show you how you can do that through the reinvestment strategy screen. So I'm clicking on Analysis, and you'll see on the left, middle left, there's an Adjust Reinvestment Strategy button. So if you click on that, you're going to get our reinvestment matrix. And we do have a video tutorial about the reinvestment matrix if you want to go a little bit slower. But it's two areas. You can apply money toward principal, that's the upper section here, but possibly they just rather put the money directly into a savings account or an investment account. If you're working with financial planners, this is a great way to be able to show them the savings as well. So first off, let's go ahead and apply our savings, make level payments for applying that amount to principal. So we have our monthly MI, lender paid MI. You'll see we're saving $85 a month over that monthly MI, and then the single premium is $228 over that monthly MI. So to make level payments, let's enter these amounts under those products. So I'm putting $85 in my reduction payment and $228.38. This amount will be applied to principal each month, and you'll see the new freedom point. They'll have that paid off in less than 27 years and 24 years for that single premium. So again, it might be, you know, the smallest payment, but if they can afford the monthly MI, show them how they can apply that a difference in principal and the advantages of those two additional products. So let's see how that looks on the report. Then we're going to come in and show you how you can reinvest that mortgage insurance, how it dropped from the loan. So let's go ahead and press OK and take a look at our report. And you'll notice over in the tax benefit line, we're going to have another additional line that will provide us our reinvestment reduction payment. So let's clear all, and we'll focus just directly on the reduction of principal. You'll see on the monthly MI, I'm not applying any amount of money toward principal, but I am applying $85 a month on the lender paid MI and $228 on the single premium. So another area, and then you also have your freedom point you'd be able to point out to the borrower. Now let's go into that more info button, and let's take a look at that matrix. So I'm clicking on the reinvestment matrix, and you'll see how we have the reduction of principal labeled out here, as well as that new freedom point. And as I talked about earlier, we have 7.25 years of MI, and it's being cut off. So let's reinvest that mortgage insurance. So first off, I do have a question. Just one moment. Oh, that's your question. Okay, Brian, I'm going to show you right now. Perfect. Okay, I believe that is your question that we're going to cover. Oh, perfect. Great. Okay, so let's close out here, and let's show you how you can reinvestment. And not only after we're doing reinvesting mortgage insurance, I'll also show you how to do a lump sum payment as well. So let's go back to Edge. I'm going back a screen because that's my analysis screen, or I could have just clicked on analysis. Click on adjust reinvestment strategy. So now we're going to reinvest our mortgage insurance. You'll see that the MI cutoff month is month 87. So what you do is double click on your reinvestment strategy field, or the reduction of principal. So at the very bottom, it says 87 last MI paid was 228. What this means is the month 87 no longer has MI. So what I'm going to do is you'll see month 1 and a 0. So in the month column, go ahead and place 87. And then for the dollar amount, put 228.38. So now from month 87 on, you're reinvesting toward principal the 228.38. So now let's press OK, and let's see how that is going to affect the freedom point. So now that has reduced it to 25.58. Again, the highest cost loan is that lender paid MI. So let's take a look on the report. Advance my screen for the save to make the modification, and you'll see on that monthly MI, you're going to see that change, and now it says custom. So to review that, let's go into our more info button in the reinvestment strategy, and now we have a button there. So if you click on the custom, you can see how they're reinvesting the 228 at the 87th month for the remainder of the loan. Now also, besides this area, in the long-term section, the more info button, you now have a line, just to point out, you have your total benefit, but there's also a total reduction now. So you can show them, this happens to be over a 30-year period, how much they applied to reduce that principal. So you have the connections between those two screens right here, as well as how much over that 30-year period that they received the tax benefit from owning a home. So now let's show you on the reinvestment strategy lump sum payments. So let's go back to Edge. And we're going to our analysis screen. And let's say at the end of the year they found out that they know they're going to have a bonus, or they're selling a home, or somehow they're coming up with $50,000 and they're going to apply it to principal. So a lot of times their home hasn't sold. They do want to apply that principal at a later point of time. How does that work? So we're going to make it even with $50,000. I'm first going to start with, let's just go back to the custom on the monthly MI, and then we'll adjust each of the products. Clicking on custom. Now what I want to do is add another line item for that lump sum. So at the very base you see an add and delete button. So we're going to add a line, and actually it's month 12 that I know I want to see $50,000 being applied to the toward principal. So you'll see as soon as you press return, it reorders it. Now you have at month 12 $50,000. But just like the MI, if I do not reset that, it's going to apply $50,000 each month. So how do you stop it, make it a one lump sum? So what I'm going to do is add another line item. In month 13, I don't want to add any more money. So that cancels out $50,000 for each month. Then what it does, it picks it back up at month 87. It then is going to add that mortgage insurance toward principal. So let's add that same line item, those 2 lines for each of those products so we can have an even comparison. So I'm double clicking, and $85 a month I want to apply toward principal because that was my monthly savings. So this is going to be a little bit different. Still, you want to add a line, and in month 12, we want $50,000 plus the $85,000. That way, on that month, you're including that $85 as well as the $50,000. Now we need to add another line at month 13, and instead of zeroing out, you want to place that $85 again. That's that monthly savings. So you can see how this process works, and now let's go ahead and press OK and do the exact same thing with our single premium. So in month 12, we're going to add $50,228.38. Whoops, I'm at 12. And now let's go ahead and put it back to MI only. Okay, my dollar amount is 50,228.38. There we go. So month 1, we're toward principal, our monthly savings, lump sum principal plus that monthly savings, then back to our lump sum principal. And let's make it the same number. There we go. So we have everything there. I got to figure 228. Okay. So once you're done, press OK, and you'll see how much it reduces there. So by applying that additional $50,000, let's go ahead and take a look on our report and how that makes the adjustment. So advance the screen, and you go see when it does an update. There it goes. You see now each of the buttons on the reduction principal. There's custom on each of them, but just go into that more info and that reinvestment strategy tab, and you'll be able to discuss with them. Here's your lump sum payment. I zeroed it out at the next month, and then I'm applying the mortgage insurance that dropped from your loan at this point in time. But actually, by applying that $50,000 at the 12th month, take a look at my MI cutoff. Actually, I wouldn't need to go for that full year technically because of that 50,000 drop. I reached the 78%, so it actually reduced the MI cutoff month. So I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, let me know. I can explain this a little bit further. Now, let me you got the flow. The same process applying to principal works for the investment strategy. So let's go back to Edge, and let's apply that dollar amount and do it toward an investment strategy. How much would that, instead of principal, how much will I be saving if I was diligent and actually put that money away? So first off, let's go ahead and delete these line items, and we're going back and just keeping it as a standard loan with no money being applied to principal. And then we'll apply it to the investment strategy, or to the investment strategy. Okay, so I've zeroed that out, and it's 30-year terms. The next area is your savings balance. Where does this come from? I have zeros all in this area. So let me show you first, and then we'll come back into the reinvestment strategy. I'm pressing OK. If you go into our assumptions, whoops, our affordability, can't afford, the same area we had that tax benefit or tax bracket, you have a savings balance and a savings interest rate. So let's put in 50,000, and they don't have much of an interest rate on that account. And let's move forward, save that data, and go to the analysis, and let me read a question. Just one moment. Yes, exactly, Brian. on that mortgage insurance, the question Brian had was when the mortgage insurance, after you applied that $50,000, you would go back in and reapply the mortgage insurance when it drops. So be able to show them that true value. But yes, you're correct. So now let's go into our report. Oops. Back into our reinvestment strategy area. And now you'll see the $50,000 carried over to this field. This is a great way for you to determine if they have enough cash to close. So this, by putting in $50,000, I know they've covered. I can apply that savings amount, that $85, directly to that savings, and you can see at the end of, I think I have this at 30 years, right here, 30 years. At the end of that period, they would have $40,000 saved and a really small interest rate. But if they're working with a financial planner, they might be able to receive a higher rate. I'm just using the 3% at this point. And let's apply that $85 a month there. So you can see with the higher interest rate, they gained about $9,000. Whoops. So you have that as well. And then just like, let me remove this, because you can only invest in one of these three areas that lump sum. You can always split it, put 40 here and 45 down here. That's fine. But remember, whatever that total is in savings, it should only be reinvested in one area, that total amount. So you could split it, but the total amount only gets invested. The other item you could do is show that 3%, and maybe like in this case, it's 228. I'm applying 128 toward investment account. So at the end of that 30 years, I would have $74,000 accrued. And then I'm going to take the $100 and just apply it to principal. So you can see how you could split it. You could put part of that $228 in your toward principal and part toward an investment account. So a couple different ways that you'd be able to show this to your borrower, or if you're working with a financial planner as well. So remove that. So there's what we're going to do here is to keep it again level. I'm going to go ahead and put this 228 here, 38, and let's put a 3% interest rate here, and let's reinvest that mortgage insurance. And just like we talked about earlier, whoops, add, just to show you real quick, Brian, so if you put in 12 months and you had that 50,000, and then let's put the 13th month and zero it out. And then I'm going to press OK, because you'll still see these numbers haven't changed because it has to recalculate. Now if you go back into it, oh, it's still showing that month. But on the report, you can go back in and then readjust it to, say, the whatever month it may be, and then reinvest the MI. So let's just get rid of this. We're showing our reinvestment of mortgage insurance, so we have even payments now going to our investment account. When you use the investment account or the savings account, you want to probably show your net worth, because that is what's going to really show them how much, if they do invest. So some products, you want to be able to show them that cheap, the less cost, but this is how they can build that wealth. So they would have actually more money with that monthly MI over that 30-year period. If we change it to 15 years, let's check out that net worth. So you can see that as well. Actually, the single premium is the better way to go. And anytime you make these changes, it's also making the changes on the report as soon as you go left to right. So you'll see that the interest in MI has now changed. It will update, and it will reflect the principal and or the net worth in this case. So this, let's talk about the net worth. So you have the two different areas of data here. So let's click on the more info. And then you have your savings balance, and now you have the dollar amounts there, what was left over from that down payment and costs, and your investment. So at the end of the 15-year period, if they applied those savings, this is how much they would have in their investment account. Okay. And again, if we click on the more info, and we go to that reinvestment strategy, whoops, down here, you can see again the 3% and all the items here, just like we had at the principal reduction. Whoops, press OK. Also on that investment, if they have an investment account already that you're aware of, you could put in a starting balance to be able to show that growth. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the call now. I've shown you the items that I wanted to cover. We have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, please drive it to the question area in GoToMeeting. What I'm going to do now is just do some wrap-up showing you where you can find additional help through our knowledge base, and also if you're with, you're welcome, Brian. If you're with, have a YouTube account, we have a lot of video tutorials in YouTube as well. But just to show you Edge, if you click on Help, we know, took a look at the support box late yesterday. One of the questions was, I was doing a refinance and my mortgage insurance is not showing on my current mortgage. So I was able to answer it, but it was after 4 o'clock, and most likely she normally would have had to wait to the next day. But if you look at your knowledge base, there's a search engine right here. And I got here from clicking Help in Edge. If I type the MI in, it would provide all my video tutorials and frequently asked questions regarding MI. So if I take a look, why is not my MI not being included in the PITI? So this is just a frequently asked question that we would tell them. Basically, if they looked at their LTV percentage, most likely it's under that 78%. And then we provide the information for it. So that, to show you, is one way of how to use that knowledge base in searching for topics where you have questions. We also have all the video tutorials here. Reinvestment strategy is right here. You can always type in reinvestment or Edge Live if you want to learn more ideas. Scripts, if you're unfamiliar how to deliver the report, we have some great scripting here that you'll be able to use with your emails, as well as when you're working with video. If you go to the very end, we have a video review checklist, great way to analyze your video, as well as remind you of items to be able to use in your video. So we have that. Let's go back. And lastly, we have, I want to go to our monthly events calendar. If you haven't signed up for our Tuesday calls, here's the calls for the remainder of April, and if you haven't signed up, click right there. Thursday training, obviously you mark on that one, so you're here. Mortgage University, every 3 weeks of the month, we do Monday through Friday, we have an Edge Beginners as well as an Intermediate course with multiple topics. And if you click on this last line here, it will provide you each day and what we're going to discuss. So want to point that out. Sign up. This will help your knowledge for Edge expand. So we have many advanced as well as beginning type of calls there. And for those of you who are also new to Edge and Mortgage Coach, Friday we have an introduction to Edge for beginners. We go slowly, people ask questions, we build a report, show you how to do a fee template and product template. So if you're just beginning Edge, sign up for this course. It would be a good starting point, really understanding Edge for you. With that, everyone, thank you very much for attending this training session and wanting to learn more about Edge. If you have any questions, please email us support. We have great staff in there. Get your response right away. And if you have any topics you want to see shown on our training Thursday, again, email us at support. Let us know what you want to see, and we can develop a training around that and be able to provide that to you. So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, I'll stick around. But at this point, we're done with our training Thursday, and enjoy the rest of your day.